by design. Welcome to Throwback Thursday. It's actually Monday here in my studio, but if I don't do this on Monday, you won't get it on Thursday. So bear with me. It's a Monday after a busy weekend, and I apologize for not having been here more often this past couple of months. The beginning of this year, it's been wonderful adventure after wonderful adventure, helping Tamra Merrill at Country Craft Creations launch her new paper line, and then lots of new dies from Spellbinders, and just a lot going on, special orders and that sort of thing. But I'm hoping I'm back on schedule now after the holidays and life will settle down. So are you up for an adventure? I am. I don't have a plan today. I don't have a plan for Throwback Thursday, but I have a vision. Today we're going to be working with Prima's Spring Farmhouse, which came out in 2018. This is one of my all-time favorite Prima collections, and I have some bits and bobs left in my stash, a few full sheets left, and then little bits and pieces that I've saved together. This is how I keep my little cut-aparts organized with paper clips so that I can find different patterns and that sort of thing. So I thought we would start by making a card base together. And I have Craft 8.5 by 11, this really beautiful blush pink 8.5 by 11, and a cream 8.5 by 11. And I want to start by building a card base. So I cut my 8.5 by 11 into two 5.5 by 11 inch pieces. So you can probably guess we're going to be making a 5.5 by 5.5 card. And we're just going to join these two panels together on the end. A lot of you have seen me do this over and over and over again, so you can skip ahead. But for those who are new, because I get new people all the time, we're going to overlap these about 1/4 of an inch, keeping them nice and straight. Then burnish it down. And then bring in a scoring tool. And we're going to score this at 5.5. Let's go 6. And fold. And let's go 5.5. And let's go 6. And then let's take this little part here and see what happens. Like I said, I don't have a plan. I have more of a vision than a plan. All right, so let's take this little piece that's here, which is, let's just go ahead and let's just score it at 2 1/4, just for the fun of it. Now let's go 2.5. 2.5. All right, so now we've just created a little folio. And I'm not sure which way I want this to go, but we'll figure it out. I might do a box pocket like this and just add some pieces on the side, which is probably what I will do. Or I might do sort of a little flip folio. I'm not sure which. But anyway, that's the basics of the base. I think I am going to go ahead and cut this off. I'll do that right now. So you can see I cut this off and I trimmed this piece to 2 1/4. And then to make this box pocket very, very simple to make, I'm going to bring in my pencil. Make a couple of marks. I love a box pocket because it turns a card into a gift. I use them. If you follow me, you know that I use these quite often. And I'm going to trim these down to 1.5 inches in width. Let's see, make sure I'm doing this right, because it's Monday. Mondays can be tough. All right. These we'll just set aside. We might find a use for them, we might not. All right, now put these on here and you just want to score. Did I not do that right? Oh, I did. Okay. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Fold on these scored lines. All right, we're going to go ahead and glue these on because I don't want to lose them. But we're not going to glue them down until, there's my glue, until we've added our designer paper on the inside. So, I don't know if you can see, I'm coming right up to the edge and pressing this in place. And then this will come around like this and glue down here. And then we have a beautiful little box pocket made as easy as you please. There's other ways to make a box pocket. This is one of many that I use, but I like this one because it's super simple. And that's the whole reason why I joined this, because for a 5.5 by 5.5 card, you could have just cut 5.5 by 11, right? And then folded. But I wanted this spine and I wanted a box pocket, which is why I cut it to 5.5 by 8.5 and joined it together. I hope I'm not going too rapidly down this road. But anyway, there's our card base. Then I took cream cardstock and I cut it to, what would this be, 5 3/8? Yes, 5 3/8. And then I took pink cardstock and I cut it to 5.5. So I'm going to glue these together. I'm not going to glue them onto the front of my card because I don't like to do that until the very last thing. We're just going to center these up, and my sewing machine is being a little bit ornery. I probably need to clean it. But again, it has been a busy time. It's good to get this centered, people. If you can get it centered, you're way ahead of the game. Yes. Much better. And then just burnish that down. Now, because I'm dealing with a mostly used up collection, I just went through and I picked out a bunch of stuff that I kind of liked the way it looked together. I know this is like not professional, right? But if you ever want a peek into how I really create, this is it. This is how I really create. So I thought this would be fun for a Throwback Thursday for you to see just how kind of, I don't know, harum-scarum I am in the studio. I just start cutting and then it just starts coming together. So I've got a little panel here, and I'm going to say this is probably about 3 by about 5 and, I don't know, 5 1/8 maybe. Hold on, I'll measure it for you because I know it drives you crazy if you don't know. Okay, so it's 3 1/4 by 5 1/8. And the 5 1/8 part is really the important part. So I've got this piece. I'm going to go ahead and trim this to 5 1/8. And just ink up my edge. I'm going to put this beside it, which is why I wasn't overly worried. This is a 4 by 6 journal card that I had left over. And I think I want, well, we'll just work with it like this. It'll be all right. It'll all come together just fine. And that goes down on top of that. So then I have this panel, which was also 4x6, that I trimmed to, looks like I left it 4 and I trimmed it to 4 7/8. I'm actually going to put it upside down. Shh. And this is going to go mostly over this panel. So what I'm doing here, if you're going, what are you doing? I'm just creating layers and dimension. And this is just a little piece. It looks like it's 3x4. That was a very good guess. It's 3x3 7/8. And I've inked all these edges with gathered twigs. And then this is just going to go, let's say right here. See how we're just building layers. We're just building layers, building layers, building layers. Then I have this pretty piece that's from one of the cut apart pages that has this gold text. And I want to lay this in. And yes, this is going to be a 3-pound card, but that's okay. I just thought you'd like to see how I play when I'm all by myself. This is how I actually create, people. Okay, and then I cut this little piece out. I just love these little bunnies along the edge with the bee. I'm gonna lift this. It's okay to hang over the edge of a card. Nothing bad will happen. All right. Then I have this piece. It's supposed to go this way. That's the border strip along the top and a turnip, which I don't want. But I want this gorgeous gold foiling and the roses. And I want these to go right here. Like, let's say right there. That looks pretty good to me. And I'm not matting layers. A lot of times I will mat layers, but what I did in lieu of using mats is I inked all the edges with that gathered twigs, and that's working pretty good. And then this is another fussy cut piece. This I'm going to back with chipboard. I want this to stand out from the rest. So I've just got some waste chipboard left over from who knows what. I don't know what. But I save this stuff. I also save, sometimes I use priority mailboxes. It just depends on what I have, and I just grab it and I use it. So I'm going to put a couple layers down because I want this. See what that did? Isn't that cool? Like all of a sudden now you feel like you could almost walk in here. That's how that works. Okay. And then I fussy cut. These were just little floral pieces that were in the collection. And this one goes, I'm going to put it right over here. Like that. And then this one, it's actually that same cluster of flowers. Oops. I need to refill my glue bottles. They're getting really empty. I had the grand girls here over the weekend. We had a wonderful time creating together, but my glue bottles are kind of empty. Okay, so I think I want this to go, I'm just playing with, let me move this out of the way. I'm just playing with how I want this to be configured, and I'm thinking, there, I like that. haven't glued this down yet because I'm not sure. Sometimes I mean, you just have to play. It's really good to just play with paper. And, you know, sometimes you might get some boo-boos, but that is how you develop your own eye. That is how you develop your own style and your own eye for what you like. These are just little scraps that I cut in half, and I cut those little banner flag ends on them. And I just want to put them back behind this. So don't be afraid to play. And if, you know, like if you don't want to ruin your good paper, pull out some old collection that you don't really think you love all that much and start playing with it. You might find that you actually really, really love it. Okay. So this is one of the ephemera pieces that I had left. I'm going to put this right here, like that. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. I think I'm ready to commit. I'm going to take my little sheep. I always put glue on these, even though they have adhesive on the back, because they don't always stick. And I want this to just kind of go out here. I think I'm going to take my little milk can. I want to trim down the white a little bit. Sometimes they cut these with way too much white border for me. So I'm just going to trim this down a little bit on the one side and along the bottom. Stick that in there and see if that's what I want or if I want something else. I've got some little bits and bobs of chipboard left. Keep losing my ink. Yes, I like that very much. So I'm going to go ahead and commit. And we're going to have to put spacers on the bottom of our milk can because now it's not going to be level. So we'll try one, and if we need more than one, then we'll add another one. Yes. All right. So I think that is it for layers. She says as she keeps layering. Something just caught my eye and I thought that would look really nice. I love to have text. I love to have some sort of text. All right, I'm going to set that aside. I may use it, I may not. Anyway, sometimes, you know, it looks like a good idea and then you get it there and you go, oh, I'm not sure I like that. And that's okay. That's the whole idea. All right, I'll be back in a minute with the next step. Now we're ready to finish the inside of our card before we finish up the outside. So inside I've just layered up my pink and cream over the craft. I took a little scrap, made a simple little pocket, and in here I tucked a little note card with a tea bag. So this is just a 3x4 card, a little scrap of pink, and I made a little belly band for it just by wrapping a scrap around the card. So this goes in this little pocket. And that's a place for you to write your own little note. Now, I want to show you how to finish off this box pocket. Ignore that. That was me making a mistake. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put adhesive on these outer flaps. Then fold them in so that they are square. And I usually do that just to kind of make sure I'm square. And come in with a bone folder or a ruler or anything like that. And just press those flaps down to encourage them to adhere. And while you're doing that, you just check to make sure everything is straight. I'm a little not straight here, so I'm going to lift this. See how I want that to be straight, because otherwise your card won't stand up properly. Same here, this needs to come up just a bit. So now that I've got those nice and straight, I'm just burnishing them down. And then I cut a piece of paper that is an inch wider. This is just the formula, an inch wider than the front of your pocket and a 1/2 inch deeper. And that way you can score 1/2 inch on the side, 1/2 inch on the bottom, and you can wrap this pocket with your designer paper. And it's just a really beautiful finished look. So because this card is 5.5, I cut my paper 6.5. And because my pocket's 2.5, I cut it 3 inches tall. And now we're just going to press this down. And again, I'm just working with a scrap piece. Perfectly fine to do that. And I'm just burnishing this down. Sometimes this really heavy craft paper, I don't know if you ever find this, sometimes I find it has a finish on it that it does not want to accept the glue. It kind of resists it a little bit. So I need to trim this little corner off here so we're nice and flush. That one's perfect. I don't know what happened over there, but whatever. All right, you go back in here. Now to fill the pocket, you have all kinds of little scraps, and I like to buy little individually wrapped cookies. This is a little individual honey. This is a Ghirardelli chocolate. And then this is a spoon and a mini honey stick. This is a vintage demi-tasse spoon, and you guys always ask me, where do you get them? You know, estate sales, yard sales, thrift shops. You just have to search for them. They are vintage silver plate, and they are harder and harder to find all the time. So when you find them, when I find them, I buy them all. So I just want to make sure this is going to close over. So I may have to rearrange these a little bit to make everything fit. Sometimes I put this guy down in the bottom, and then I lay this guy in. Anyway, I'll play with those later, but they will all fit. I just have to, I want to finish the front cover with you. But see, there is your box pocket. And I'll cut a little strip to line the spine. But let's bring our cover in and finish it. I pulled up the sheep, and sometimes that happens, you can see, but no one's ever going to know that happened except you, and you're only going to know because I'm telling you, because it's not going to show. I went through my stash of old flowers. I have a cookie jar that I keep with all my old, like one here, one there. And I found these two that I thought looked really pretty with this paper. I think these are old Petaloo. So if you have any of the old Petaloo, I was on their design team for a few years, and before they went out of business. So I'm just going to glue these down. Whoops. There we go. That's better. So that they kind of overlap like that. And then I tied a triple loop bow. This is Buttermilk Delicate Stitched Satin. And I'm folding the loops back so I have access to this knot. And I put my glue on the knot and slip it underneath that leaf. And then while I'm holding it in place, I'm just pulling all these loops and tails where I want them to be so that they look the way that I want them to look. Now, if you're not a big bow person, don't do the big bow. It's not a big deal. Then this is ivory burlap string. And I'm going to repeat this process with that, just to add that extra little bit of texture right here. So pretty. And then I threaded a couple of my vintage pearl buttons, and I want to put these right up here. And again, these, just look for them, thrift shops, yard sales, you know, estate sales, all of that. That's where you're going to find them. And then up here, on top of our little bunny tag, well, let's do the corner first. I want to anchor. I don't like this raw corner right here. So I have a couple of little tiny flowers from my stash that I want to layer in around that milk can. And then I did a little bow to go underneath those, just burlap string. And this is going to fill that little raw corner up and make it look finished. See? Easy peasy. And I'll come back and get that little bit of glue schmutz. Once that's dried up, look how pretty. This is a paper clip that I found in my stash, and I just shoved it down in there. Now I have another little bow to go on top of our tag, and this time I want the tails to go up like this. I have this little bee charm, and I just looped it through some string. I'm going to put a little glue on my knot. And this I colored gold with alcohol ink. Set that there, and then I have one more little flower. Goes right on top, and see, now I can still pull him down and adjust him so that he's right where I want him. And then I come in with my scissors and I trim the tails. Then in the center, I wanted something with a little more, do you see what I just love what that did right there, just like that. I just love that. So I put 3 layers of chipboard on the back of my little sheep, and I want it right here. And this gives it that really wonderful country farmhouse springtime feel. And then this beautiful life is going to go, I'm going to move my sheep over just a little bit. Hopefully it's not too late, because I want to be able to center beautiful life underneath it. So I'm going to have to glue that back down. Beautiful life. Let's lift my sheep up. Does this freak you out, guys, when I do this? If you could see me in my craft room. Because I really just create. I don't write things out. I never have a sketch. I have an idea of what I want to create. So there you go. Look how pretty. So springy and soft. Farmhouse and vintage. And then the last step is always to glue this on top of the card. So there you go. Now you know how I work with scraps. You kind of know my process for how I think and put things together. I hope you enjoyed this Throwback Thursday. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, you can hit that subscribe button. And then if you also hit the bell, you'll always be notified when I do a new project, share, or tutorial. And if you would like this video, that would really help me out because it helps other people find my channel. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining me. Kathy Clement, Kathy by Design, Throwback Thursday. Go get out your old paper pretties and make something beautiful. Bye.